all these things that you take for granted, you don't realize I had to relearn, and it just was so time consuming. And I did it, like the first 6 months, I went back to college, I got A's my first semester, I graduated college in that first year, but it was hard. I wish I could have had like a couple months just to like take a vacation, but life doesn't work like that. You don't get out of prison and just tell the world like, oh, I just need some time to recoup. You know, life's gonna come at you. You know, rent payments are gonna come. So I had to get stuff figured out super fast, and it was really hard. I remember actually, like in the first couple months I was out, there was Saturdays I literally laid in bed, not from depression or anything, just because I was exhausted. Like the change was so that I actually slept, woke up at like 5 o'clock in the evening, like just slept all day because there was just so much to take in. But I did it, and because of that I was further ahead. So, let's just wake this up. So I got out of prison. My first goal, like I said, was 1, graduate college, because I started college again. I did that in the first year. 2 was get a job for $10 an hour, which I did. Some friends met me, and a friend actually hired me on a little project he was working on, some real estate. And then I got my first job just delivering magazines to big box stores. And I was just happy with that, because at least I had a job and I could live off $10 an hour. And then once I had that, then I was like, well, I can always set the next goal and keep going. And so this is kind of what I learned in prison. There's 3 things that I learned. I knew if I could master these 3 things, then my life would be totally fine. And it was 3 prisons I needed to stay out of. 1 was a physical prison. And a physical prison is truly jail. And you know, drugs will take you there, crime will take you there. So the biggest thing was stay out of trouble. That's going to get me locked up. The second thing was there's self-esteem prisons. And what I mean by that is some people will get told a lie when they're young or when they're old, that they're not good enough, they're not pretty enough, they'll never make it in life, and whatever reason they choose to believe that lie. And they end up locking themselves in a mental prison believing some idiot's lie about themselves for the rest of their life. And I knew I couldn't get myself caught in that. For me, it was, I can't believe that I'm a loser. I can't believe that I'm some monster. I can't believe that I'm some criminal. I'm better than that, and I'm not going to believe that. If somebody ever tells me that, I'm to heck with you. I'm not going to, you're out of my life, I'm done with you. And so that was my next big thing. And then the third big thing, there's financial prisons. And what I mean by this is, you know, you guys are right at the age where you're going to start going to college. So there's going to be student loans that come to you and say, here, sign this dotted line, we'll pay for your whole school. And then they're going to come to you and say, here's this car, sign on this line, we're going to give you a brand new car and a house. And you're like, sweet, this is a great deal, you're signing all this stuff. And before you know it, you got $200,000 in loans out to people, and you can no longer be who you want to be. Because you have to get a job that you might not want to service and pay for whatever people roped you into. So I knew for me, if I could avoid these 3 things, then success was going to be the outcome, or that's what I chose to believe. So I like I said, I got my $10 an hour job, then I set my next goal, and I started going on interviews. And this business owner was, he met me, and he looked at me, and he's, after talking to me, and he said, you know, I could give you a job, but I can tell right now you got people skills, you're driven, you're not afraid, you're not going to believe, you can accept rejection, you can take no's. He's like, you should start your own business and I'll teach you how to do it. And then you can sell my products through your business. And he had a clothing company, so t-shirts, whatever, and he sells to businesses or schools or churches, organizations and stuff. And I was like, wow, like start my own business? And he's like, yeah, you could work from home, you could work from your computer, you can do whatever you want. You can make your life how you want it to be. And after being in 10 years locked up, being told what to do and told what I can't do, that sounded like I'd finally get to build my life the way I want to. And it was so exciting. So I did what he did. I did what he told me. He's like, just start going door to door, introducing yourself to businesses, say you're a rep, you want their business. I got a lot of no's. But then in the next year, so I've been out for a year, and the next year I started getting some yeses. And I started getting some sales, and I started growing my business. I started getting referrals. And so now I have that business, the clothing business, which I sell about $300,000 a year in apparel to companies. And that makes my living. And now that I have that income stream, now I'm doing what I really want to do. And that's like, I've always wanted to be a writer. So now I've established that. I'm trying to build this thing up. My wife and I, we bought our first, so we own our home. We bought an investment property last year, so we rent that out. That makes us an extra $600 a month. And for me, it's not getting rich. I drive an old car in the parking lot. I wear old shoes and stuff. It's being financially free so I can finally do who I'm meant to be. And that's my whole dream, and that's what I'm working towards, and I'm going to do it. And hopefully you guys are all looking at me like, wait, if he can do it by failing so massively, then you guys can do whatever you want to do too. It might take you a long time, but you can do it. So that's it. Any other questions for me now that I've kind of said all that? Yeah, go ahead.
How about your love life?
Say it again?
How about your love life?
My love life?
Yeah.
And that's a great one. I almost want to get a microphone here and be on the radio now and host my own romantic channel or something. So actually, my first year getting out, I went to a church bonfire and met a young woman, and she was looking to do the same life I was, and got married within the first year. And so now, yeah, so we're kind of doing the same thing. She works on the blog with me, and so I've been married 3 years now, and the two of us are trying to accomplish everything that we want to do too. So there's other questions too. She's like, I've heard like, did she judge you at all? And honestly, no. Like so she met me, and that was the first thing she heard about me. And then I think she saw that, wait, this guy's hungry and driven and trying to change. And she saw that as attractive. Like, he wants to take who he is and make it even better. And she was like, that's somebody I want to join an adventure of life with. So she was kind of all for it. Another question I often get is like, did her family judge you or whatever? And so they looked me up online to make sure I wasn't some mass murderer or killer or something. As long as it checked out, they were like, go for it and have some fun. So does that answer that question there?
Yeah.
All right. We got any more? Yeah, and I'm going to come back to you.
What was your mother's reaction?
My mother?
Mm-hmm.
That's again what I was trying to say is when you're making bad decisions, using drugs or whatever else you're doing, you only think about how you're impacting you. You don't know the pain you're going to cause the loved ones who didn't do anything wrong. They were angry at first, but they also knew that this was way bigger than what they could do or solve. So they actually just were like, you know what, we're just going to support you and we're going to get to know you. And we're going to hope that you can make better decisions to get yourself out of here. I remember when I was in prison, they'd come visit me. They came visit me once a month in prison. And they believed me. But I know there was also some apprehension in them about when I'd get out. Was he going to do this again? Because there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in jail and in prison, they don't all turn their lives around like me because life is hard. And, the return rate to prison is astronomically high. And so they're afraid, but I think now they're super proud of me. Like, hey, you know what? We taught our son that, he wasn't a success right off the bat, but we taught him something better. We taught him that no matter what happens to you, you can change it. And you can fight back from it, and I think they're super proud of me now. And we have a great relationship with them. And I saw another one over here, right? Okay.
Yeah. What genre of books do you like to write?
I'm a fiction writer, yeah. The blog is more nonfiction because I talk about my investing strategies and what I'm doing to become financially free so then I can live my dream. So it's a combination of, the blog is real life, but I do publish fiction stories on there sometimes too that illustrate a point. So I think my next 5 to 10 years is me writing fiction books based on how people can live their dreams. Because I think, for me, what I learned when I went to prison is like, the hardest part about it is you had a life taken away from you. And that was the hardest part about that. And so when I had my second chance, like, it didn't matter about getting the perfect job. It didn't matter to me about anything. The only thing that mattered to me was being who I wanted to be and doing what I want to do. And living the life that I'm created to live. And that was the most important thing to me, and that's what I'm going after. So hopefully I'll write fiction books based on that. I do have a young adult book that I wrote on my website, wealthwelldone.com. I'm not advertising that today, but I do have a book that I wrote with Gary Paulson on there. It was a practice novel that I'm giving away for free now. So hopefully what my plan is as people read it and they share it and stuff, then publishing houses will come to me and say, you know, you have a big following, we want you to write for us. So that's my goal right now. We got anything else? We got about 5 to 10 minutes. Can we fill it up? Here?
I got a good one.
Yeah.
You had said before, you know, about the regret, what you could have been were it not for all that wasted time.
Yep.
But there's also a train of thought that people say, I'm grateful for what happened to me because even the bad stuff, because that journey led me to who I am today.
Yeah.
So as you reflect on the two different paths, you took a fork in the road.
Yep.
If you take the other fork, I think it's easy to see your personality was you were going to be successful in business or sales or whatever. We can say that. But could you say you'd have the depth you have as a man that you have now?
That's a fantastic question, and it's a deep question. You know, I'll never know who I could have become. And that's great advice for anybody in here. Like, we all make mistakes. We all fail. Making mistakes is normal. And regret isn't going to save anybody. Like, oh, I should have done that or whatever, you know? I think what worked out well for me is, hey, I forgave myself. I just said, you know what? I forgive myself. I was a human being. I made a mistake, and I can do better. And I think that forgiveness and making mistakes and failing, you know, you learn a lot from failure. You learn who you want to be. You learn who you don't want to be. Like, and now, like, I am not afraid of failure. In fact, if there's an opportunity to fail that doesn't have felonies involved or prison, because I don't want to go back, but I'm the first one to raise my hand and be like, yeah, let's go learn. And then I was going to say something else too, so... Oh, I know what I was going to say too. So we never know what I could have been, but I had a friend once when I got out of prison, he was looking at me and he said, you know, some people in life, they're like a slingshot. Like, they get held back, and the longer they get held back, and it could be any guys, you in here, you know, whatever you're going through, the longer they get held back, the longer the rubber band gets pulled back. So when they finally get released to who they're supposed to be, that thing shoots 100 times farther than it could have ever been if they just would have lived a perfect, normal life. So for me, it took 10 years, you know. For some of you, it might take years. Some of you might figure it out at 23. But you know what? All the momentum that's holding inside of you can just explode. And that's kind of what happened to me. Is it took me a long time to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do. When I knew it, there was years built up inside of me where I just wanted to go and chase it and accomplish it and do it and not regret anymore. Not be afraid of failure. Just do it. Got anything else? Yeah.
How have like your core values like changed from like when you first like were like doing drugs from like today?
Yeah, how my core values have changed. They've changed
What do you live
dramatically.
by?
Yeah, and I'm a big spiritual guy. I'm a big God guy, so a lot of it came from there. I think I really hit it on the speech that I gave, and let's just sum it all up in these points. Honesty is huge. I am ashamed of the guy I was that lived 2 separate lives and didn't tell people that know the homie. You don't know how proud I am. I'm way more proud than this and the money that I made and whatever. I am so proud that if you guys see me on the street next week, just wandering around, you know, whatever, I'm going to be the same guy there as I am in this classroom. Like, nothing will change because I take pride that I'm the same person now everywhere I go. So just honesty and truth is hugely important to me. And that stems to all the other things. You know, not using drugs. That's big. I'm against it in the fact that, you know what? When you use drugs, you don't know what's going to happen to you. And it can go, for me it happened 10,000 times, nothing bad happened. And then one time happened. So what keeps me sober is I never know if I take that drug, am I going to wake up with a brain aneurysm tomorrow? You know, I've already hurt people in my life. I saw my parents. Am I going to have a brain aneurysm and then my wife has a vegetable as a husband for the rest of her life? I mean, that freaks me out. So that's what motivates me to sobriety. And then also, I think when I was using drugs, I always felt like I was one step behind. I was always hungover. and I was always fighting back from a hangover. Like I was always one step behind where I should have been. So I was always trying to cover up a lie and figure stuff out and make up lies to get to where I want to be. Where now I wake up and it's like I'm ahead of the game. Wake up ready to go. I don't got to tell any lies. I don't got to cover up my foot tracks. I don't got to con anybody. I just wake up and go. So that's super exciting to me, and that's what's helped me accomplish so much when I wake up ahead of the game. So I think we have about 3 minutes left. We got anything else before we kind of close it up?
All right, sounds good. Let's give him a hand.